Seta Purusha Jara Nityananda. That Mahapurush, Karanabdhishayi Vishnu, is known as a plenary part of him who is Lord Nityananda Balaram, the favorite associate of Lord Chaitanya. Eta Navama Shlokara Artha Vivaran Dashama Shlokara Artha Shuna Diyaman. I have thus explained the 9th verse, and now I shall explain the 10th. Please listen with rapt attention. Yasham Shamsha Srila Garbhodakashayi Yanabi Abjam Loka Sangata Nalam Lokashrashtu Sutika Dhamma Datus Tam Sri Nityananda Ramam Prapadye. I offer my full obeisances unto the feet of Sri Nityananda Ram, a partial part of whom is Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. From the navel of Garbhodakashayi Vishnu sprouts the lotus that is the birthplace of Brahma, the engineer of the universe. The stem of that lotus is the resting place of the multitude of planets. You see? So it refers to Lord Brahma as the engineer of the universe. Sometimes people say the creator, but we prefer engineer. Because he creates, he's the engineer. He sets up all the forms, but it doesn't work unless the living entities are injected into the material nature by the glance of the Lord. In the Mahabharata Shanti Parva, it is said that he who is Pradyumna is also Aniruddha. He is also the father of Brahma. Thus Garbhodakashayi Vishnu and Kshirodakashayi Vishnu are identical plenary expansions of Pradyumna, the original deity of Brahma, who is born from the lotus flower. It is Pradyumna who gives Brahma direction for cosmic management. A full description of Brahma's birth is given in Srimad Bhagavatam. Describing the features of the 3 Purushas, the Laghu Bhagavatamrita says that Garbhodakashayi Vishnu has a 4-handed form, and when he himself enters the hollow of the universe and lies down in the ocean of milk, he is known as Kshirodakashayi Vishnu, who is the supersoul of all living entities, including the demigods. In the Sattvata Tantra, it is said that the 3rd Purusha incarnation, Kshirodakashayi Vishnu, is situated as the supersoul in everyone's heart. He is an expansion of Garbhodakashayi Vishnu for pastimes. Seta Purushananda Brahmanda Shrijya Sab Ande Praveshila Bahumurti Oya. After creating millions of universes, the first Purusha entered into each of them in a separate form as Sri Garbhodakashayi. So, some of the purports, we'll read. Some of them are long, and I always consider it's like, if somebody is really getting into all the details, then they may go to a research library and read in-depth analysis and commentaries. And sometimes that's what the purports are like. They go, and and then somebody says, well, does that... Anyway, I continue. Bitare praveshi deke sab andakar rohite nahika stana korila bichar. Entering the universe, Brahma found only darkness, with no place in which to reside. Thus he began to consider. Nijanga sveda jala korila shijan sejale koila arda brahmanda Baran. Then he created water from the perspiration of his own body, and when that water filled half the universe. Brahmanda Pramana Panchashat Koti Yojan Ayama Vistara Dui Hoi Ekasam. The universe measures 500 million yojanas. Its length and breadth are one and the same. Jaribori Anda Taha Koila Nijabas Ara Arde Koila Shoda Bhuvana Prakash. After filling half the universe with water, he made his own residence therein and manifested the 14 worlds in the outer half. Okay? The 14 worlds are enumerated in Srimad Bhagavatam, 2nd canto. The upper planetary systems are Bhu, Bhuvar, Svar, Mahar, Janas, Tapas, and Satya. The 7 lower planetary systems are Tala, Atala, Vitala, Nitala, Talatala, Mahatala, and Sutala. The lower planets as a whole are called Patala. Among the upper planetary systems, Bhu, Bhuvar, and Svar constitute Svargaloka, and the rest are called Martya. The entire universe is thus known as Triloka. Tahai Prakata Koila Vaikuntha Nijadam Sesha Shayana Jali Korila Vishram. There, it says, after filling half the universe with water, he made his own residence therein and manifested the 14 worlds in the upper half. There he manifested Vaikuntha as his own abode and rested in the waters on the bed of Lord Sesha. Ananta Shayate Taha Korila Shayan Sahasra Mastaka Tara Sahasra Badan Sahasra Charana Hasta Sahasra Nayan Sarva Avatara Beads Jagat Karan. He lay there with Ananta as his bed. Lord Ananta is a divine serpent having thousands of heads, thousands of faces, thousands of eyes, and thousands of hands and feet. He is the seed of all incarnations and is the cause of the material world. So Ananta, he is a serpent which the Lord lies on. So he has thousands of heads, thousands of faces, thousands of eyes, and thousands of hands and feet. So he's a serpent with hands and feet. He is seed of all incarnations and is the cause of the material world. In the reservoir of water first created by the perspiration of Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, the Lord lies on the Sesha, plenary expansion of Vishnu, who is described in Srimad Bhagavatam and in the 4 Vedas as follows. Sahasra Shirsha Purushas, Sahasraksha, Sahasrapat, Sabhumin, Vishvato, Vritvat Yait, Yatishtad, Dashangulam. The Vishnu form called Ananta Shayana has thousands of hands and legs and thousands of eyes, and he is the active generator of all the incarnations within the material world. Taranabi Padma Hoite Utila Ek Padma Se Padme Hoila Brahmara Janma Sadma. From his navel grows a lotus flower, which became the birthplace of Lord Brahma. Se Padmanale Hoila Choda Bhuvan Teho Brahma Hoya Shrasti Korila Srijan. Within the stem of that lotus were the 14 worlds. Thus the Supreme Lord as Brahma created the entire creation. Vishnu Rupa Hoya Kore Jagat Palane Gunatita Vishnu Sparsha Nahi Maya Gune. And as Lord Vishnu, he maintains the entire world. Lord Vishnu, being beyond all material attributes, has no touch with the material qualities. Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan says that although Vishnu is the predominating deity of the quality of goodness in the material world, he is never affected by the quality of goodness, for he directs that quality simply by his supreme will. It is said that all living entities can derive all good fortune from the Lord simply by his will. In the Vamana Purana, it is said that the same Vishnu expands himself as Brahma and Shiva to direct the different qualities. Because Lord Vishnu expands the quality of goodness, he has the name Sattvatanu. The multifarious incarnations of Kshirodakashayi Vishnu are known as Sattvatanu. Therefore, in all Vedic scriptures, Vishnu has been described as being free from all material qualities. In the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said, Harir I nirguna sakshat purusha prakrite paraha sa sarvasva drig upadrashtu tam bhajan nirguna bhavet. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, is always uncontaminated by the modes of material nature, for he is beyond the material manifestation. He is the source of the knowledge of all the demigods, headed by Lord Brahma, and he is a witness of everything. Therefore, one who worships the Supreme Lord Vishnu and attains freedom from the contamination of material nature, therefore, one who worships the Supreme Lord Vishnu also attains freedom from the contamination of material nature. One can attain freedom from the contamination of material nature by worshipping Vishnu, and therefore he is called Sattvatanu, as described above. Okay. Let's see. Let me have it there. Rudra Rupa Dore Kore Jagat Samhar Srishti Stiti Pralaya Ichaya Jahar. Assuming the form of Rudra, he destroys the creation. Thus creation, maintenance, and dissolution are created by his will. Maheshvara, or Lord Shiva, is not an ordinary living being, nor is he equal to Lord Vishnu. Effectively comparing Lord Vishnu and Lord Shiva, the Brahma Samhita says that Vishnu is like milk, whereas Shiva is like yogurt. Yogurt is nothing like milk, but nevertheless it is milk also. So, in other words, the milk, when a culturing agent is there, it becomes yogurt. So yogurt is a transformation of milk, but you cannot transform yogurt back into milk. But okay. Hiranyagarbha Antarjame Jagatkaran Jara Amsha Kore Kore Virata Kalpan. He is the supersoul, Hiranyagarbha, the cause of the material world. The universal form is conceived as his expansion. Hena Narayana Jara Amshara Amsha Se Prabhu Nityananda Sarvas Avatamsha. That Lord Narayan is a part of a plenary part of Lord Nityananda Balaram, who is the source of all incarnations. So as I mentioned yesterday, what we're dealing with, as the word of Srila Sridhar Maharaj, is ontology. We're understanding ontology. In other words, if you can understand the source, what is the underlying cause, the source, who the personalities involved with Mahaprabhu's Lila are, then you have some action, conception of how they are acting, why they're acting, and everything. Then you can understand who is Lord Nityananda. He's also Balaram, but Balaram is the source of all these expansions, as Maha-Sankarshan and the quadruple expansions, Vasudeva Pradyumna Aniruddha and Sankarshan, and then the second expansion, the same, and then the Purusha avatars, Mahavishnu or Karanabdhishayi Vishnu. Now we're hearing about Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, then Kshirodakashayi Vishnu, and all the further expansions of Sesha, Naga, etc. All this is Nityananda Prabhu, because Nityananda Balaram is the source of all these expansions. And then maybe you can understand something, remotely understand something of Lord Nityananda, his mood, his activities. And one comment says that all of these expansions from Balaram on, they all have the quality of wanting to serve Krishna. So they are, Prabhupada uses the term Supreme Personality of Servitor Godhead, which is, I think, a nice term. Yeah, so, now, Hiranyagarbha Antarjami Jagat Karan Jara Amsha Kore Kore Virata Kaupan. He is the super soul, Hiranyagarbha, the cause of the material world. The universal form is conceived as his expansion. Hena Narayana Jara Amshara Amsha Se Prabhu Nityananda Sarva Avatamsha. That Lord Nityananda is a part of a plenary part of Lord. That Lord Narayan is a part of a plenary part of Lord Nityananda Balaram, who is the source of all incarnations. Dashama Shlokanartha Koila Vivaran Ekadasha Shlokanartha Shuna Diyaman. I have thus explained the 10th verse. Now please listen to the meaning of the 11th verse with all your mind. What did Govindamar say? Now listen minorly. What did he say?
Minorly.
Huh?
Give your minorly attention.
Give your minorly attention. Yes. That minorly means referring to your mind. Okay. Now okay. Yashyam sham sham sha paratma kilanam poshta vishnur bhati dudagdishayi shoni bharta Yatkala Sopyanantas Tam Sri Nityananda Ramam Prapadye. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the feet of Sri Nityananda Ram, whose secondary part is the Vishnu lying in the ocean of milk. That Kshirodakashayi Vishnu is the supersoul of all living entities and the maintainer of all the universes. Sesha is his further subpart. But if he's Kshirodakashayi Vishnu, is he lying in the ocean of milk, or is he lying in the ocean of kheer? Right? Yeah. Kheer is cooked down milk and nice, right? I don't know. It's Kshirodakashayi Vishnu. It sounds like kheer, doesn't it? Yashyam sham sham sha paratma kilanam poshta vishnur bhati dudagdishayi shoni bharta yatkala sopyanantas tam Sri Nityananda Ramam prapadye. Offer my respectful obeisance unto the feet of Sri Nityananda Ram, whose secondary part is the Vishnu lying in the ocean of milk. That Kshirodakashayi Vishnu is the super soul of all living entities and the maintainer of the universes. Sesha is his further subpart. Narayanera Nabin Nala Madhyati Dharani Dharanera Madhye Sapta Samudra Je Gani. The material planets rest within the stem that grows from the lotus navel of Lord Narayan. Among these planets are 7 oceans. Taha Shiro Dari Madhye Svedadvipanam Palayita Vishnu Tara Se Nijadam. There, in part of the ocean of milk, lies Svedadvipa, the abode of the sustainer, Lord Vishnu. In the Siddhanta Shiromani, in the astrological text, the different oceans are described as follows. 1, the ocean of salt water. 2, the ocean of milk. 3, the ocean of yogurt. 4, the ocean of clarified butter. 5, the ocean of sugarcane juice. 6, the ocean of liquor. And 7, the ocean of sweet water. On the southern side of the ocean of salt water is the ocean of milk, where Lord Kshirodakashayi Vishnu resides. He is worshipped there by demigods like Brahma. And Hapania, Guru Maharaj's appearance place, that's known for sweet water, right? And that sweet water is? Coconuts. So I don't know if that sweet water here mentioned comes from coconut. Yeah. Sakala jivaratiho hoye antarjami jagat palakatiho jagatara swami. He is the super soul of all living entities. He maintains this material world and he is its Lord. The Bhagavatamrita gives the following description of Vishnu Loka within the universe, quoted from the Vishnu Dharmottara. Above Rudra Loka, the planet of Lord Shiva, is the planet called Vishnu Loka, 400,000 miles in circumference, which is inaccessible to any mortal living being. Above that Vishnu Loka and east of the Sumera hill is a golden island called Mahavishnu Loka. In the ocean of salt water, Lord Brahma and other demigods sometimes go there to meet Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu lies there with the goddess of fortune, and it is said that during the 4 months of the rainy season, he enjoys sleeping on that Sesha Naga bed. East of Sumera is the ocean of milk, in which there is a white city on a white island where the Lord can be seen sitting with his consort Lakshmiji on the throne of Sesha. That feature of Vishnu also enjoys sleeping during the 4 months in the rainy season. And why is this important? Because we are now in the 4 months of the rainy season. The last Purnima was just a few days ago, right? Yeah, and it was the beginning of Chaturmasha, which is the 4 months of the rainy season. The Sveta Dweep in the ocean, in the Milk Ocean, is situated just south of the ocean of salt water. It is calculated, then calculate that Sveta Dweep is 200,000 square miles, approximately. This transcendently beautiful island is described with desire trees to please. This transcendently beautiful island is decorated with desire trees to please Lord Vishnu and his consort. There are references to Sveta Dweep and Brahmanda Puran, Vishnu Puran, Mahabharata, and Padma Puran, and there is the following reference in Srimad Bhagavatam. Sveta Dweepa Patochitam Shude Dharma Moyi Darayan Shvetanam Yati Sad Urmi Rahito Narha. My dear Uddhava, you may know that my transcendental form of Vishnu in Sveta Dweep is identical with me in divinity. Anyone who places this Lord of Sveta Dweep within his heart can surpass the pangs of the 6 material tribulations: hunger, thirst, birth, death, lamentation, and illusion. Thus one can attain his original transcendental form. Yuga Manvantari Dori Nama Avatar Dharma Samstapana Kori Adharma Samhar. In the ages and millenniums of Manu, he appears in different incarnations to establish the principles of real religion and vanquish the principles of irreligion. The Lord Vishnu, who lies in the ocean of milk, incarnates himself in various forms to maintain the laws of the cosmos and annihilate the causes of disturbance. such incarnations are visible in each manvantara in the course of the reign of each Manu, who lives for 71 times 4,320,000 years. 14 such Manus take their birth and die to yield a place for the next during one day of Brahma. Okay. Devaganena Pai Jahara Darshan Kshirodakashayi Vishnu Karanabdhishayi. Unable to see him, the demigods go to the shore of the ocean of milk and offer prayers to him. The denizens of heaven who live in the plenary systems, beginning from Svarloka, cannot even see Lord Vishnu in Svetadvip. Unable to reach the island, they can simply approach the beach of the milk ocean to offer transcendental prayers to the Lord, appealing to him on special occasions to appear as an incarnation. And the prayers that they offer are called Purusha Shukta, right? Tabe avatare kore jagat palan, ananda vaibhavatara nahika ganan. He then descends to maintain the material world. His unlimited opulences cannot be counted. Say Vishnu hoy jara amsham shara amsha. Say Prabhu Nityananda sarva avatamsha. That Lord Vishnu is but a part of a plenary portion of Lord Nityananda, who is the source of all incarnations. The Lord of Svetadvip has immense potency for creation and destruction. Sri Nityananda Prabhu, being Baladev himself, the original form of Sankarshan, is the original form of the Lord of Svetadvip. Say Vishnu Sesha Rupe Dharana Dharane Kaha Achem Maheshire Hena Nahijani. That same Lord Vishnu in the form of Lord Sesha holds the planets upon his heads, although he does not know where they are, for he cannot feel their existence upon his heads. Did I read these verses here? When I took it. Let me see. Tabe havatare kore jagat palan ananta vaibhavatara nahika gaman. He then descends to maintain the material world, yes. His unlimited opulences cannot be counted. That Lord Vishnu is but a part of a plenary portion of Lord Nityananda, who is the source of all incarnations. Say Vishnu Sesha Rupe Dharana Dharani Kaha Ache Nahi Shire Keho Nahi Jani. That same Lord Vishnu in the form of Lord Sesha holds the planets upon his heads, although he does not know where they are, for he cannot feel their existence upon his head. So I always have this image of Atlas with great difficulty holding up the earth, but Lord Sesha holds up unlimited planets on his hoods, doesn't even know they're there. Yeah. Sahasra Vishtirna Jara Fanara Mandala Surya Jini Manigana Kore Jalamala. His thousands of extended hoods are adorned with dazzling jewels surpassing the sun. Panchashat Koti Jojan Prativi Vishtar Jara Ek Fane Rahe Sar Shapa Akar. The universe, which measures 500 million yojanas in diameter, rests on one of his hoods like a mustard seed. The Lord of Svetadvip expands himself as Seshanaga, who sustains all the planets upon his innumerable hoods. These huge global spheres are compared to grains of mustard resting on the spiritual hoods of Seshanaga. The scientist's law of gravity is a partial explanation of Lord Sankarshan's energy. The scientific law of gravity is a partial explanation of Lord Sankarshan's energy. The name Sankarshan has an etymological relationship to the idea of gravity. Like etymological relationship to the idea of gravity. There is a reference to Seshanaga in Srimad Bhagavatam where it is said, Yamahur Asya Stiti Janma Samyamam Tribir Vihinam Yam Anantam Rishayaha Na Veda Siddhartam Eva Kvachit Stitam Bhumandalam Murda Sahasradamasu. O my Lord, the hymns of the Vedas proclaim that you are the effective cause for the creation, maintenance, and destruction. But in fact, you are transcendental to all limitations and are therefore known as unlimited. On your thousands of hoods rest the innumerable global spheres, like grains of mustard, so insignificant that you have no perception of their weight. The Bhagavatam further says, Yashyedam Shiti Mandala Bhagavata Nanta Murte Sahasra Shirjasa Ekasmin Eva Shirshani Driyamanam Siddhartha Eva Lakshate. Lord Anantadev has thousands of hoods. Each sustains a global sphere that appears like a grain of mustard or like a mustard seed. So, you can't minimize the power and you can't minimize Lord Nityananda. No way you can minimize Lord Nityananda. If you try to minimize him, you will be in trouble. You will be in big trouble because he cannot be overestimated. Seta Ananta Sesha Bhakta Avatar Ishvarera Seva Bina Nahi Janiyar. That Ananta Sesha is the devotee incarnation of Godhead. He knows nothing but service to Lord Krishna. Srila Jiva Goswami in his Krishna Sandarbha has described Seshanaga as follows. Sri Anantadeva has thousands of faces and is fully independent, always ready to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He waits upon him constantly. Sankarshan is the first expansion of Vasudeva, and because he appears by his own will, he is called Svarat, fully independent. He is therefore infinite and transcendental to all limits of time and space. He himself appears as the 1,000-headed Sesha in the Skanda Purana. In the Ayodhya Mahatmya chapter, the demigod Indra requested Lord Sesha, who was standing before him as Lakshman, please go to your eternal abode, Vaikuntha, where your expansion Sesha with his serpentine hoods is also present. After thus dispatching Lakshman to the regions of Patala, Lord Indra returned to his abode. The quotation indicates that the Sankarshan of the quadruple form descends with Lord Rama to as Lakshman. When Lord Rama disappears, Sesha again separates himself from the personality of Lakshman. Sesha then returns to his own abode in the Patala regions, and Lakshman returns to his abode in Vaikuntha. The Laghu Bhagavatamrita gives the following description. The Sankarshan of the second group of quadruple forms appears as Rama, taking with him Sesha, who bears the global spheres. There are two features of Sesha. One is the bearer of the globes, and the other is the bedstead servitor. Oh, that's a very nice term. Bedstead servitor. He serves the Lord as his bedstead. The Sesha, who bears the globes, is a potent incarnation of Sankarshan, and therefore he is sometimes also called Sankarshan. The bedstead feature of Sesha also presents himself as an eternal servitor of the Lord. So some persons can say, do you believe all this? Yeah, why not? You have a problem with that? No, I have no problem. I have no problem. Why do I have no problem with that? Because it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Sahasra Bharane Kori Krishna Gunagan Sarv Nirabadi Guna Gana Anta Nahipan. With his thousands of mouths, he sings the glories of Lord Krishna. But although he always sings in that way, he does not find an end to the qualities of the Lord. He finds no end. Therefore, he's called Sesha. There's no Sesha. There's no end. There's no end to the glories of the Lord. And while he's singing the glories of the Lord, he doesn't have to repeat himself unless he wants to, but there's no end to the glories of the Lord. Sanakari Bhagavat Shune Jaramuke Bhagavanera Gunakohe Bashe Premasuke. The four Kumaras hear Srimad Bhagavatam from his lips, and they in turn repeat it in the transcendental bliss of love of Godhead. Chatra Padukashaya Upadana Vasan Arama Abhasha Yagya Sutra Simhasan. He serves Lord Krishna assuming all the following forms: umbrella, slippers, bedding, pillow, garments, resting chair, residence, sacred thread, and throne. Etamurti Beda Kore Krishna Seva Kore Krishnera Seshata Bhana Seshanamadare. He is thus called Lord Sesha, for he has attained the ultimate end of servitude to Krishna. He takes many forms for the service of Krishna, and thus he serves the Lord. Seta Anantajara Kohe Ekala Hena Prabhu Nityananda Ke Jane Tarakela. That person of whom Lord Ananta is a kala, or part of a plenary part, is Lord Nityananda Prabhu. Who therefore can know the pastimes of Lord Nityananda? Jai Om Vishnu Pad Paramahansa Parabhajakacharya Shatara Sadashi Shimad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Gosai Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnu Pad Paramahansa Parabhajakacharya Shatara Sadashi Shimad Srila Bhakti Raka Kshirodakashayi Dev Gosai Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Saparikara Shri Guru Gauranga Gandharvika Giridhari Ju Ki Jai. Jai Om Jai Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Gaur Kishoredas Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Vaishnava Sarva Bhoma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Rupa Nuga Guru Bharga Ki Jai. Namaskar Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Ragana Shri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Das Ragana Shad Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Shri Gaurabhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Vishvavaranya Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Srila Srila Acharya Maharaj Ki Jai. Sri Bhakti Kushamashram Maharaj ki jai. Shri Bhakti Vigrahanyasi Maharaj ki jai. Shri Devashish Prabhu ki jai. Divya Shakti Didi ki jai. Vishaka Didi ki jai. All the assembled devotees ki jai. Gaur Premanande. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gaur Gopi Govardhan Sham Guna Radha Kunda ki jai. Shri